Hello and welcome to February's One Sketch Challenge, hosted by Lisa at the Crafting Diva here on YouTube. This is the February sketch. For this month I'm doing a journal page and I've taken my inspiration from Imbolc, which is celebrated on the 1st of February and is all about light returning, renewal and intention, which I'll explain more about later in the video. For my images I'm using 3 stamp sets from the Craft Consortium Wildflower Meadow collection. I've stamped them in VersaFine Clear ink already, and I've also stamped the hair on some Masket, and it will become apparent why I needed to do that later in the video. I'm going to be colouring the images using my Kuretake Clean Colour Real Brush pens, and I will be speeding up the colouring process. To explain a little bit about Imbolc for people that might not know, it's the festival that sits halfway between winter solstice and the spring equinox. It's that really lovely in-between time, so spring is on its way but winter is not quite ready to let go. There's still a sense of coziness but also the promise of new beginnings. Where I live, the first signs are usually snowdrops. We have a beautiful reserve just 2 doors down from where we live and often see the snowdrops peeking through at the base of a veteran oak. The place is full of these very old oak trees, and this one in particular, underneath it, beginning of spring or not quite into spring, you see the snowdrops peeking up, and they're obviously sheltering there from the worst of the weather, but it looks like a carpet of snowy springtime, if that makes sense. So this project is really guided by the whole not yet but soon element of that point in time. Now that my images are coloured, I'm going to cut them using these Spellbinders circle dies, and I'll also be adding some bundled sage distress oxide around the edges and as a background for the hair image. I like this green because it's lighter and a fresher tone than some of the others, and to me it really says spring. Now you can see why I cut the masket for the hair, because when I add the distress oxide around the edge and across the image, I might end up colouring in the hair because we don't want a green hair obviously, but I do want to add it as a background. And when you're using a mask, if it's got any fiddly bits on like the legs and ears on this one, you need to make sure you work from the mask out onto the card, because otherwise those will peel up and you'll end up slipping under the mask with your colour. For my background papers, I've chosen the Craft Consortium Wildflower Meadow Premium Collection paper pad. The papers I'm using are this one with the hair on, and this grey with the I think it's cow parsley, and then the back of this one, which is the script. Now you can't actually get this paper pad anymore, not this exact one, but there is a Craft Consortium Wildflower Meadow special edition, and the only difference I can see is that it has these darker papers in it. I've cut my papers down ready. I just want to say at this point that if you're enjoying this video and like crafting content and you don't already subscribe, I would love you to consider doing that. I'm just going to go around these pieces with the bundled sage distress oxide. Now it's time to put everything together. Whilst I'm finishing this off, I just wanted to remind you of all the other crafters taking part in this collaboration. They'll be listed in my description box below. Please do pop over and have a look at their projects. It's always really nice to see what everyone else has done because we all come up with different interpretations. I am going to raise my circles on some foam pads, but I'll just speed up the process. It's all together, but what I'm not happy with is this flag here is getting lost in this background because it's too similar colour. So I've got one of the distress markers. This is not the bundled sage, but it's shabby shutters, which is going to be enough of a similar colour, and I'm going to go round the flag just to make it pop, because otherwise it's so lost you can't see it at all. There we are, that's better. And I just have one more thing to add. I feel that this has met the brief of this sketch quite well, but as I mentioned, there is one more thing I want to add. It's just a little personal touch to say the day I made it and to explain the meaning. Thank you so much for watching and spending some time with me today. I hope that maybe this has given you a reminder that spring is slowly on its way. Please do pop over, as I said, to all the other people taking part, and until next time, cheerio.